Right, so let us look at how do we multiply a monomial by another monomial. A monomial simply has one term. Now this is actually the simplest type of multiplication of algebraic expression that you will encounter, and remember that this is the basic building block. So if you understand this correctly, it will be very helpful when we go and solve more complex multiplications of algebraic expressions. Now let's look at a few examples of multiplying monomials, one monomial with another. Now the first one is simply when we multiply a constant with a variable shown as phi multiplied by x is 5x. Now this is something that you would have seen earlier several times. The other example is multiplying a variable by another, that is a multiplied by b, which is also written as ab, with this and a multiplied by b, that is the same thing. Now let us look at a slightly more not so simple example where we are multiplying 4x by 7y. Now the way in which we tackle this is we multiply the constants together and we multiply the variables together. So what I have done is we have grouped the constants, that is 4 times 7, okay, and you multiply them by the variables, that is x multiplied by y. Now all you do is 4 times 7 is 28 and x multiplied by y is xy. So the answer to this is 28xy. Okay, let us look at another example. So we have 9a multiplied by 6ba. Again, we follow the same rule. We group the constants together, so we have 9 multiplied by 6, and then we also group the variables together for multiplication. So we have a times b times a, or we can also have a times a multiplied by b. Now this 9 times 6 is 54, so we have multiplied this. A times a gives us a squared, so we write it over here, and then b is separate, so we write it over here. So the answer to this multiplication, that is 9a multiplied by 6ba, is 54a squared b. So what are the key ideas that you need to remember when we are multiplying monomials by monomials? The first idea is to remember to multiply the constants and variables separately. And second thing to remember is to use the rules of exponents and powers when multiplying variables. So two examples I have shown over here. So if we have a variable x to the power a multiplied by x to the power b, the resultant would be we will have is x to the power a plus b. Similarly, we have another variable known as n, which is raised to an integer, let's say c, and n to raised to the integer minus of d. All you do is n to the power c minus d. So these are just two of the rules of exponents and powers that we learned earlier. But just to revise, these are the two key things to keep in mind when you are multiplying two monomials.